Here we go. Got that started over here, and I'm going to jump on over on the other so I can answer any questions that you guys have as we begin to stream this thing live. So in one more thing to give everybody a chance to jump on. If you are jumping on, hey Charlotte, how are you? It's good to have you on here. There's Miss Megan jumping on. And there we go. I should be live on everything, and I can see all the comments and all the questions as they're coming in. And of course, I strongly encourage all of you as I'm training, if I fail to see where a question pops up, I do go back and read these when the session's over. And so if you've got a question or something that you'd like a little bit more explanation on, I do try to go back and address it in the comments, or if it's a little bit longer, I'll send you a personal message. The strategists are also jumping on and watch these. So Julia, Abby, and David go back and read the comments. So we're here to help you guys. And of course, we've got some great strategic power partners that also have some of our elite members who have been through our training processes. And so a lot of times they're able to jump on and share answers also. So let me before I jump up at the board today, because again, we're going to go back to the chart here, because I just think it visually makes more sense. Even though I've trained on strategy sessions several times here in both Inspired Nation and in the Ignite group, a lot of times I'll take the time and I'll explain it, but I think visually seeing how it actually plays out just makes more sense. And of course, my whole goal here is for you guys to be able to take all this information and begin to apply it to your business, so that we all have that opportunity here in the nation to actually use it. And of course, we want you to take it out into your other networking activities and be able to obviously grow your business. And that's really what our purpose is. So if you're just now jumping on this and you somehow have found your way in one of these groups and you're wondering who I am Amy D. Kilpatrick. I'm the president of Inspired Business Solutions, and of course, the one who actually comes on here and facilitates all the training material that we like to share. And of course, this is in a continuation in a series called Unlocking the Power of Referral Marketing. And, you know, I get people ask me all the time, Amy, why are you training here live, or anyone can watch it? Well, first of all, it is a group. It is a private group. And so what I found years ago is that I could have one or two choices, right? I could keep all this information to myself and then surround myself with a bunch of people who actually really don't know how to use referral marketing at the level in which I believe we all can achieve. And therefore, we're all limiting our abilities to help one another, to be a part of each other's success story. And so the tips that I'm bringing to you guys today are things that, you know, if you're in my mastermind group, you know, these are things that I began training in that group because, quite frankly, we needed that group to begin to start supporting one another. And that's the same approach that I'm taking in this virtual world, that if you're inside Inspired Nation, if you're inside the Inspired Ignite experience, then why would I ever limit us to having the ability to actually use these as tools to actually grow our business? So that's why I jump on here and the information that I share. Now, am I giving everything away? Absolutely not. There's a whole lot more to building a referral marketing strategy than what I'm able to share here on Facebook, because quite frankly, a lot of it is a lot more detailed. We got to dive deep, and it has to be applied to your company. But I believe the information that I'm sharing here, everybody needs to know, so that we can all be a part of each other's success stories. So if this is the first one you've joined us with, then obviously you can go back and watch. For right now, they're all still in the Facebook Live, you know, post, and so you can newsfeed. You can go back. They're actually in the announcements. So every day, as there's a new one, I go add to the announcements. So you can go in the announcements in the group, and you will begin to see each one that we've been building on, and so you can go back and watch them. I believe they all stand alone. So, you know, you may hear me reference something that you're like, oh, I want to go back and see what she's talking about. That's fine. But each lesson here I teach stands alone. So you'll be able to, you know, be able to apply them as they are. Now, some of you may be watching this and going, what's the Ignite group versus this group? Inspired Nation is where I've created a community for us to be able to use as a resource to grow our business with one another. The Ignite program or the Ignite group I have is also open for anyone in this group. All you have to do is let me know. I can invite you over there to it. And or we'll put a plug down here below this. It's really where, for people who are more intrigued with actually learning referral marketing and wanting to apply it to their business. Inspired Nation is where I've considered where you come and practice it. And of course, it's in a virtual community. So there's the difference between the two groups. They're both private groups. They're both free. I mean, so you're there, you can get involved with both of them. It's just different information is going to be provided. And then ultimately here in Inspired Nation, these live Facebook trainings won't be in Inspired Nation. They'll only be over in the Ignite group. So if you've enjoyed these, you're going to want to get plugged up in that group, and we can put that link down below. If Julia doesn't jump on and put it down below, then I'll make sure and do that before we get off. So today's topic, what we're going to talk about is what I call the secret sauce to referral marketing, because one, it's necessary. Okay, it's necessary to make the strategy happen. But two, what I have seen is people over the years fail to actually put this in their strategy, and quite frankly, they're not getting the same results from the ones who actually do. And if you're going to measure something and say, is my referral marketing plan giving me a return on investment, I think you have to actually put a true picture to it. What are you actually doing to make sure the strategy is going to come into place? And you know, it's the same way that you do with traditional marketing and advertising. You know, every now and then you have to go, am I actually providing relevant information to the person who's you know, I've paid to have this advertising done? Am I on the right side of the road? Am I on the right radio channel? Is the right demographic? Am I speaking to the right target market? You know, you still have to make these same evaluations, whether you're doing referral marketing or traditional marketing. And so what we're going to talk about today is understanding what do you do. So, you know, our previous trainings, we talked about know before you go and always get a yes, how you prospect for potential referral generators. Then last night I talked about, or yesterday I talked about what are 5 levels of referrals that you can actually generate for your business once you have referral generators in place. And then I'm going to kind of take us back a step again and say, okay, when we have prospected for referral generators, how do we actually train them to get those 5 levels of referrals for us? And that's where we're going to talk about today. This is one mechanism to train them. And so to me, it's one of the most important pieces of your referral marketing plan, and it's what we call strategy sessions here in Inspired. But I believe there are 3 levels. So I'm going to switch and stand up real quick, and so I can work here on the board and write that out. If you are following the series, I'm going to strongly encourage you to get a notebook and start tracking these notes, and because this is really a strategy that you can develop and build for your business. There is an email that goes out every day with the replay of this, because like I said, eventually these are going to no longer exist out on Facebook. But if you want to be able to get plugged into this, right now they're actually out on YouTube. You can get the link to all of that. There's an email that goes out every single day who tells, you know, with the link to be able to watch this again and what's coming up and when it is. So if you want to be on that email list, make sure and put a comment down below, and I'll make sure and send you the link to get on that email list. So let's go ahead and get started when talk about strategy sessions. So I'm going to try, we've got 2 cameras going here, so I'm going to try to stay in view of both of them. I think I have it where at least my eyes are on both cameras, so I'm making eye contact with all of you as I'm training this. I will tell you guys, my gift is in training, not necessarily in technology. So this has been an interesting transition to train live on Facebook versus live in a workshop. But I believe we have the potential to reach more people and make a bigger impact by doing it this way. And so, of course, we've made this shift here with Inspire. So let's talk about what I call the ITS of strategy sessions. So I went ahead and took the liberty to draw a little bit of this out just because we do have a time constraint that I try to stick to on these strategy sessions. So first, let's talk about the 3 levels. Gosh, I'm trying to get this where I can write and have you guys on here. Let me do one more adjustment real quick before we get started. There we go. I feel like I can write and see at the same time. So, all right, so when it comes to a strategy session, let's at least talk about what it is, okay? And at its basic, now this can be done in person. I have done a tremendous amount of strategy sessions over the last 6 months virtually. And so I am finding that the impact is the same. So again, the reason why I say that is because we are growing this community here in Inspired, and you have the potential to connect with people that aren't necessarily going to be where you can sit down with them in a face-to-face conversation. So the last thing I want you to do is limit yourself in thinking that you can only do strategy sessions with people if you're drinking over a cup of coffee face-to-face. And that isn't the case. With the technology has opened up so many different ways that we can utilize this, between, Zoom, like what we're on today with, you can get multiple people and do a group strategy session. We're going to talk about that. Facebook Messenger, video live, so there's a Skype, there's all kind of tools out there that give us that ability to communicate with one another and still make eye contact. Because I do think eye contact, communicating with each other is important. You're building a relationship with one another. One of the things that I have found with the benefit with a strategy session that's virtual is you tend to get down to business pretty fast. There's a lack of having to worry about and factor in drive time. Are we at the right location? Is it too noisy? Are we going to find this? Are we going to order food? I mean, there's a lot of distractions that get out of the way, and I find that you actually have more time to focus on the purpose and the material that you're sharing when it is virtual. So, keep that in mind, because I think virtual strategy sessions are pretty awesome right now. So a strategy session at its basic format is usually an hour. And I say usually because I'm going to give you guys a few tips on this, but it's usually an hour, 30 minutes on you, 30 minutes on them, unless pre-arranged that it would only be a focus on one of you. And I say pre-arranged because I think communicating prior to a strategy session, not only about making sure everybody knows where it's going to be, but really about the expectations of the information that's going to be exchanged is extremely important, because people can prepare. You can prepare if you're going to need to be sharing, they can prepare, or if it's going to be all about them. There's a big difference between preparing for 30 minutes time spot versus, an entire hour. Okay, well, maybe I want to bring different material. What does that actually look like? So there's, having those expectations laid out prior to the strategy session, I think just sets you up for success. In fact, I don't think it is. I know it does. Okay, I know it sets you up for success. The other thing that I always tell everybody, be very aware that doing a strategy session with someone who I call has never been engaged or trained at the level of referral marketing that some of you will be by the time you finish this, right? You may experience a strategy session that sounds nothing like what I'm going to talk about today. And so, in fact, you may sit down at a strategy session and it feels like a sales pitch. And so, I'll try to address that today. If not, I will definitely address it in another training. But the way I look at it is, if I'm equipped to know what I want to accomplish, then I hopefully can steer the conversation to where it benefits both of us, and it stays away from the sales side of it. Now, do I still have people who have taken my trainings who, I hear that if you sit down and do a strategy session with them, it's still a sales pitch? Sure, I do. But here's the deal. I coach that person to go back to the other person and address that and say, look, I really want to learn how to grow your business with you rather than learn more about your product or service. Can we do a repeat? And this time, this is the information I'm really looking for. And I just believe that being more transparent with one another, having open and honest communications with one another actually helps, because that person may not even realize what the purpose was, even though you think it should have been obvious. It's not always. And then some people, you're at least given the benefit of the doubt that maybe they didn't know how to do this correctly, and that if you give them the opportunity to do it a different way, they will. If you get sold to twice, though, I always say, okay, you might want to just move off from that one and replace that person with someone else that's in the same industry and go through the process. So strategy session, plan on about an hour, 30 minutes for you, 30 minutes for them, or an hour for you and then an hour for them on a later date. Okay, so think about that. Now, what do we talk about at these meetings? I have people go, okay, Amy, I've picked out my prospect. I've done the always get a yes technique, just like you taught me. And now we're going to be meeting with one another. Where do I start? Where do I start? Okay. Well, first, let's have an understanding of what you're wishing to accomplish with strategy sessions and really what their purpose is. The purpose isn't to fill your calendar up, which is something else for you to do. It's not meant to just go drink coffee with someone. Strategy sessions are that their strategy to grow your business. So is there a social component to it? There is, but the faster you can get beyond the social component and down to where it's a business meeting, the better off you are. I will tell you that there are some people, depending on personality styles, sometimes even depending on, I always say us ladies, we tend to stay on the social side a little longer before we get to strategies. And then sometimes I always say some of the gentlemen that I coach, they tend to go straight for strategy and forget that there's a personal component to the relationship part of building referral marketing. And I say that very carefully because I believe different people have different personality styles. So you need to know your personality style and what your tendency is, where you're strong and where you're weak, and you want to make sure and keep that balance. So the purpose of a strategy session is to connect and take a referral generator from prospect, someone that you think could refer you and you could refer them, and take them through the phases of wanting, willing, and able. Okay, so that you're going to hear me train that terminology all the time here at Inspired. Wanting, willing, and able. First of all, wanting is the fact that they're even wanting to explore what it would look like to become a strategic alliance with one another. And that begins with that always get a yes technique. Now, if you're missing that, that is on a replay. Go back. I believe it's 2 sessions ago. Go back and watch that. The always get a yes technique. So it starts there. Okay, you've identified who you want. It starts there. And what we're doing now is taking them through the wanting, willing, and able. So wanting, there is a phase to that, and we call it the I phase. We're going to get to that in a moment. The next would be willing. So once they're wanting to sit down to talk to you to see what this is looking like, but there's a big difference between someone saying, oh, I want to be your referral generator, and them actually being willing to put the time in, to invest in the time that it actually takes to become referable with each other, okay? And so I call that the T phase, the training phase, where you're actually learning about each other in order to successfully recommend or introduce each other. And so there's the T phase. And then, of course, wanting, willing, and able. Able is when, in that moment, when they recognize your opportunity and they have been fully equipped to recommend or introduce you, that they do so. They're able to actually do it in an effective way, that what I call an efficient and effective way, right? So if you look, you're going to hear all these terminologies over and over and over again. I mean, mine and David and Sarah's book, you know, I always say in Inspire, we're not unique. We just keep executing the fundamentals flawlessly. You know, look at our book, E&E, you know, efficient and effective. So these terminologies they're there for a reason, because I believe that you can build it, execute it, and then repeat it. Like, execute the fundamentals flawlessly, and then I promise you, you're going to have a system to growing your business. And it doesn't have to get fancy. It just has to be executed flawlessly. And when you do that, you'll become very, you know, you're going to be surprised at the effect it has on your business when it comes to referral marketing. When you're seeing this S up here, so obviously we're going to have an S phase, and that is where, believe it or not, is where strategic strategy sessions. And I just couldn't call it anything else. I just feel like that's what it is, that you're at that phase. But let's break it down real quick. So the whole point is when you're developing your referral generators, you're taking them through, like I said, the wanting, willing, and able. Wanting, willing, and able. And the cool thing about that, it takes time. So remember, your investment into your referral marketing plan will mostly be your time. I can't tell you it's a zero cost investment, because sometimes you may pay to be a part of a membership, or plug yourself in. And depending on how exclusive or closed that group is, could be the price point of what you're paying to get plugged into a particular group, okay? Versus an open networking opportunity where the cost is lower, but you're not exclusive. So you have to work it completely different. No matter which group you're in, whether it's what I call a private group, a closed group, a public group, ultimately, once you've identified a referral generator for you and you're taking them through the wanting, willing, and able, your investment at this point is your time, okay? So what I want you to think about is wanting, willing, and able, okay? So these are the phases in which we are trying to move our referral generators. And of course, the results that we desire. Remember yesterday, the results we desire in referral mode is that at this point, they are able to generate referrals for us. Okay, that's what this whole thing is. We're trying to generate referrals. And so your job is to move them through this. And the way we start with this, and the reason why I have a stairs is because if this was easy, if all it took was the always get a yes, let's put this in perspective, right? This is your network. Don't y'all like my handwriting online? So this is your network. And at this point, we use the always get a yes technique to get them to a strategy session. Okay, now remember, there was a whole lot of training I've already shared that gets us to this point. Okay, but once you get them to this point, you're doing what I call an introductory strategy session. And so we're doing an I strategy session. We are in the I zone here. Now, in the I zone, the reason why I put this out there is because relationships are important when it comes to referral marketing. It is a necessary element to it. People want to help other people that they feel like they have a relationship with, and ultimately they want to be a part of your success story. So a relationship is part of that foundational part of referral marketing. There is no disconnect, and so you have to connect right away. Well, the problem is some of you will do I know because I've trained this for many years, and I had people will think in my past life, things would be called one-to-ones. And people would go in and they would do this, and I always wanted to call it one and done, right? Because they thought that if they just go through their network and do a one and done, then it was over. Like, I've done everything I need to do. I've met with everybody in the room, and therefore done. Okay. It was like this marathon sprint. How many of them can I get done in a time and then be finished with that part of it? And what a mistake. Like, what a mistake. Because you're only talking 30 minutes exchange of information. And most of the time, if you're meeting someone that you've never met before, you've never sat down with them, you got to get to know each other. And I always kind of liken it to a first date. Like, you need to know whether or not this is someone that you actually want to go out with again. This is somebody that you're potentially going to put them in front of your best client, your best friends, your family members, without ever having to worry about apologizing for that referral. So I think it takes more than just a 30-minute conversation or an exchange of a business card at an open networking meeting. Like, it takes more of that. It takes an investment into that relationship. And so we need to exchange information. And so what I always tell everybody in those first strategy sessions, go ahead and get that out of the way. Like, find out what brought you to town. Why do you do what you do? Learn a little bit about each other's business. We're not going to stay there, but it's okay for you to ask, all right, well, tell me about the different products or services that you offer. And, just a get to know me, but 30 minutes is going to be up. Like, and then it's your turn. And people really want to know about family and kids and what brought you to the area. And so I say, let's own that. Okay, let's own it. And so what you want to do is just acknowledge that those first few are a get to know you. So this is what we call an introductory strategy session. And depending on your personality styles, this may take 2 times. So, it could be one time over coffee, another one, maybe over virtual, whatever it is, but just understand that this is a get to know you. And I say it's surface level information. We've got some tips that we like to share with Inspired, some different things that you can still try to keep these on track with one another, especially if it looks like it's going towards a sales pitch. But this is really what you're looking for. What I like about these is you can determine whether or not if you'd like to move on. If not, they were nice, you've met the person, they're in the community, you meet them at a networking event, you can make eye contact, walk up to them, shake their hand. But if you don't feel that something's not clicking here, that you would feel comfortable moving forward, you don't, and it's fine. But if you do feel that this is someone that you would like to invest your time into and you see it going forward, then there is the next level, because you don't want to keep meeting and every time you meet, talk about your dogs or your kids or what brought you here, right? And that's the problem. People don't realize there's other steps that you actually have to take to make it become a part of your referral marketing strategy. You actually have to train people. So that's why the next section is what I call the training zone. Okay, so now we are moving them from wanting to willing to learn how to actually recommend and introduce you. Okay, so in this, you'll see that you may have to set up multiple strategy sessions over time. And the reason why I say that is maybe at this strategy session, it's a 1 hour on you. Maybe the next one is 1 hour on them. Or you can split it up and, maybe this one we're going to talk, maybe it's topical. Maybe this one we're going to talk about our trigger words. Maybe this one we're going to talk about our level 3 golden goose opportunities, right? So that we talked about yesterday in the 5 levels of referrals. Maybe in this one, we may talk about different scenarios in which this could actually happen in the world that you know these people. And so there's all different things that you can be talking about at these strategy sessions, but I believe the more prepared you are, and the next time you say, well, next time let's get together and talk about this, the next time we get together, and it's being very intentional with what it is that you're teaching one another. And through this process, we are becoming more equipped to recommend and introduce. Now, if you'll remember in my prior trainings, recommend is a level 2 and introduce is a level 3 referral that you can do. There's nothing keeping you from training a level 4 and 5 at this stage, but most of the time I have found that level 4s and level 5s take place at the S level. Okay, we're fully engaged at this point into each other's success story, so it's a little easier for us to discuss level 4s and of course level 5 referrals. So again, if you're wondering what these are, go back and watch the prior training where I talked about the 5 levels of referrals. These typically, like I said, stay within an hour. If you are really fully engaged with this process, it may be an hour and a half. Or what I have found is over time, I can go back and do a T or an S with an established referral generator, and it can be done in 30 minutes. It can be done while I'm in a car line. You know, we're just catching up with each other. Hey, what's going on? What's a hot topic for you? What's your goal for the next month? Who do you want to be introduced to? And so a lot of times, this information can be shortened up, or if you're really diving deep, if you know you want to plan for that. With an S, this is where we get more strategic, and you begin to find that you could possibly do a group. And so we're going to talk about doing group strategy sessions at this point, because you would begin to identify people who are all at this stage with you, and you're all going in the same direction to this target market. Wouldn't it be great if we did a joint Zoom meeting, or we did a joint lunch or mastermind or power meeting where we focus on maybe some joint marketing with each other? What would it look like if we did a joint event with each other? What would it look like if we actually did a campaign where all of my clients learned about y'all's businesses, and because my clients need y'all, but what would be a way that we could get that information out there so that y'all are a resource to my clients, rather than obviously selling to them, but there's always that opportunity for the clients to act on if they see a need. So there's some different ways in which you can do this. And of course, you can also do another strategy session with what I call the industry collaborators group. Okay, so this is more our strategic alliance group. This would be more our industry collaborators. Sorry, guys. Let me see, industry collaborators. Again, there's all information that I've covered in prior trainings, but as you can tell, there is a strategy, and this takes time, okay? This isn't an exchange of a business card. Wanting, willing, and able is your time. For some people, it will feel like, well, for some, you're going to meet people, it's going to be automatic, the chemistry is going to happen, and the information, the way the direction you're going in is going to be really easy. And maybe you do feel like you've ever been through the airport and they've got those where everybody's walking, but then they've got the flat escalator, where you can just get on and it moves you on through. Some of you is going to feel exactly like that. I mean, you're going to meet this person, it's going to click, and next thing you know, you guys are moving right along and you're generating referrals for one another. However, there are going to be some people that you're going to need to really spend the time with, and quite frankly, it's going to feel more like a stair climber, right? You're going to have to put the time into it. But no matter which way you go, no matter which way you would achieve, the whole result is to end up over here at able to generate referrals with one another. Now, the one thing I do like to point out here is that able can take place, okay? Referrals can begin to take place in the T zone. So you don't have to wait until you're over in the S to actually generate referrals. Once people start learning the process of how to recommend and introduce you, and vice versa, remember it's not all about you, it's a win-win, then you'll begin to see referrals start happening, okay? And that is what I think makes this powerful. If you see referrals over here, understand you are potentially opening yourself up for apologizing for a referral that should have never been passed because you don't really know that person, right? And I can just tell you, I hate, and I've learned the hard way, where I'm like, oh, I can actually get that person. I know someone who needs that service. And yes, I had a client that needed that service, or I had a family member that needed that service. And yes, this person on the surface says they can take care of it. And so their product and service is sitting out there saying they can take care of it, but they haven't earned their credibility yet. And I always say a referral on the basic level is you're borrowing on my credibility that I have with your prospect. And I want a return on that investment of you borrowing on my credibility. And the last thing I ever want to do is to take a loss. I don't want to have to apologize for them on your behalf, because not only did I lose credibility, you lost credibility with me, so now we're at a negative on our credibility bank with one another, but you've damaged my relationship with that prospect of yours, because these are my clients, my friends, and my family. And so it wasn't just shame on you and I. It was now you've created a deficit over here in my relationships, and especially if they're my clients. I always say my family will forgive me. My clients may leave me or not trust me anymore. And you know, I'm very picky on who I lend my credibility out to. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're going in on my credibility until you establish your own with them. And so be very careful, everyone, on who you loan your credibility out to, because it's your asset that you have in those relationships. And you've been building it in your credibility bank. And so the last thing you want to do is to have someone else mess it up. But I believe you can build your referral strategy by understanding that it takes strategy sessions to actually really develop the relationships. It's more than a handshake. It's more than exchange of a business card. And yes, it is more than just showing up to a meeting and thinking that that's all it's going to take. That's just surface level referral marketing. That's surface level. You need to do the behind the scene things to make this stuff work. And I will tell you, like I've said all the time, strategy sessions is the mechanism to get you up the mountain, so that when the referrals start coming, it is a snowball effect on the other side of it. If you fail to do the work to get up the mountain, then I promise you, you will not have the effect of the referrals on the other side. So take an inventory. If you're not at achieving referrals for yourself, where are you at on the process of developing your referral marketing strategy? I hope you guys have enjoyed today's edition of the Unlock the Power of Referral Marketing. If you're enjoying these trainings, let me know. Go back and put down in the comments any aha moments, takeaways from it, how you're applying it. The more information you guys can give back to me, the better I can come back and service you guys and give the information that you need. If you're watching this on replay, please put #replay. It lets me know that you guys are watching this. And of course, a great referral for me is go hit that invite button on both groups, whichever group you're in, or if you're in both groups, go hit that invite button and invite a colleague, another professional, someone that you know could benefit for being involved here at Inspired Nation, someone who could benefit from watching these trainings. That's a great referral for me, and I hope that I've inspired you about referral marketing, and I'm looking for how you're applying it, because ultimately I'd love to be a part of your success story. So you guys have a fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow as we continue with this trainings.